Political stability crucial to overcome challenges. Overcoming inflation through PCDS 2030. Collaborative effort to achieve economic prosperity. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Lorenzo Isaac and this is TVS Nightline. Political stability is crucial for Malaysia to face various challenges, especially the global supply chain disruption causing a spike in the inflation rate which has greatly affected the nation. Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg said political stability will indirectly attract investors and will cause more development projects to be implemented in the country.
Yang sebenarnya begini, saya rasa ekonomi kita mesti berkembang. Dan juga kita tingkatkan ekspor kita supaya ada supply and demand on currency. Apabila mereka membeli barang kita, sudah tentu dia berkendakan ringgit, pertukaran wang. Kalau pertukaran wang kita terkawal, bermakna nilai ringgit kita akan naik. Kesimpulannya, kita mesti mempunyai politik yang stable. Sebab people tak ada confidence. Apabila dia tak ada keyakinan, maka pelaburan kita terjejas.
He made the comments after officiating the new building of Masjid Darul Naim in Kampung Lintang on Friday. In the same event, Abang Johari also pointed out that the Post-COVID Development Strategy, or PCDS 2030, which is currently being implemented by the state government, is also among its recovery plans to address the crisis of increasing global prices.
Kita rasa bertuah ataupun bernasib baik kerana kita sudah ada strategi dari sudut pembangunan dan ini telah saya jangka. Sebab itu saya merangkakan post-COVID ni. Sudah dijangkakan apabila COVID sudah habis the recovery process mesti menjejas, melainkan kita injek capital ataupun keuangan dalam ekonomi kita. Sebab itu kita telah injekkan bajet kita supaya ekonomi kita terus berjalan. Hanya satu saja yang menjejaskan kita ialah harga barang. Kerana kita banyak harga barang makanan import.
A recent report revealed that the inflation rate in Malaysia is expected to remain high for the next few months due to several factors, among them global commodities, domestic supply chain disruption, and ringgit depreciation. However, Sarawak has made an early initiative to implement the PCDS 2030 to ensure its people can enjoy data and innovation-driven economic prosperity.
Sarawak has voiced its intention to work closely with Australia to draw a more sustainable economic footprint towards its goal of achieving a high-income state status by 2030. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Awang Teng Ali Hassan said, through this collaboration, more opportunities can be realised as both Sarawak and Australia are rich in natural resources.
Awang Tengah added that Sarawak aims to nurture a prosperous society where everyone can enjoy economic prosperity, social inclusion, and a sustainable environment based on data and innovation. During his work visit, Awang Tengah made a courtesy call to Australia's Minister of Finance, Aboriginal Affairs, Racing and Gaming, Citizenship and Multicultural Interests, Dr. Tony Butty, at the Australian Parliamentary Hall. Also present was Deputy Minister of International Trade and Investment, Dato' Dr. Malcolm Musen Lamoh, Director of Sarawak Economic Planning Unit, Dato' Abdullah Zaidel, and the Acting Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of International Trade, Industry and Investment Sarawak, Zulkarnain Masron.
TVS reporter wins big at the Malaysian Press Institute MPI Petronas Malaysian Journalism Award 2021 in the A. Samad Ismail Young Journalist Award category. Salasya Safian emerged top in the television subcategory for the A. Samad Ismail Young category award for her reports on pinjaman kerbau galakkan penduduk dalam industri penternakan, ikan bilis lawas terbang KL, rentas sempadan Brunei and potensi lawas sebagai destinasi pelancongan. Sally took home RM5,000, a trophy and a certificate. Congratulations, Sally. Borneo Tribal Music Festival has the great potential to become one of the latest signature festivals for the city of Cebu, in addition to Borneo Cultural Festival (BCF) and Cebu International Dance Festival (SIDF). According to the Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Datuk Sri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, due to its vast potential, it is timely for Cebu to host a world-class music festival such as the Rainforest World Music Festival in Kuching and the Borneo Jazz Festival in Miri. Abdul Karim expressed that he is proud of the youths who came forward and took the initiative to organize such an event.
The conference which they are hosting will be held here in Kingwood Hotel, and during the 2 nights they have lined up, as shown through the video just now, a music festival by the banks of the mighty Rajang River. This is an interesting event where it involves the local communities, especially the local music enthusiasts. I'm especially delighted that the organizer are working together featuring music in the ethnic and contemporary scene. It will be an exciting potpourri of sound, lights, talent.
He added that such an event will lighten the atmosphere of Cebu, especially at night. Therefore, he hopes that the festival can be implemented successfully and receive a positive response from the public.
This event will also serve towards rejuvenating Cebu, as well as to help the industry, tourism industry and other related industry in Cebu. I know many people has gotten used to staying outdoors, staying indoors, and even as restrictions are being eased, many are still hesitant to venture outside. The night scenes in many parts of Sarawak have become rather quiet. 10 o'clock, you don't see many cars on the road anymore. Shops are closing early, and certain streets that are bustling with people previously remain silent. With more events, we can bring life back to our city, to our towns, faster.
Abdul Karim said this while speaking at the launching ceremony and media conference of Borneo Ethnic Music Exchange Conference, Borneo Tribal Music Festival 1.0 on Friday. Borneo Ethnic Music Exchange Conference, Borneo Tribal Music Festival 1.0 will take place from the 23rd to 24th of September with more than 10 performances. In another development, Abdul Karim has also stated that the entry of tourists into Sarawak has shown a huge increase. According to him, this increase is clearly seen not only in terms of the entry of tourists from abroad, but also tourists from the peninsula and Sabah.
Arrival into Sarawak from January to May for the year 2022, from January to May, is 439,150 as compared to 2021, which is 56,278. There is a jump of 680%. January to May this year and last year. So you can see things are getting back to normal. For foreigners in 2021, January to May, we have managed to bring in only 9,108. But from January to May this year is 43,404. That is a jump of 376%. Okay, from West Malaysia and Sabah coming into Sarawak through flights. Last year, 47,170. This year, 395,746. So that is a jump of 738%.
The receipt value for the tourism sector in Sarawak has also increased significantly from January to May this year compared to the same period last year.
In terms of receipt, tourism receipt, there is a way of calculating it. For 2021, the tourism receipt for January to May was ringgit Malaysia 130 million. But for 2002, from January to May, it's 1.001 billion. So I believe a lot of people can feel it. The hotels, the restaurant, people are coming and flocking in. That means things are getting back to normal. Things are picking up.
Therefore, Abdul Karim encourages more programs and events to be organized to attract more tourists to come to Sarawak. Sarawak will make an appeal to allow the diving event to be listed for the 20th Malaysian Games SUKMA in Kuala Lumpur from September 16 to 24th. Sarawak Deputy Minister of Youth, Sports and Entrepreneur Development, Datuk Gerald Rentap Jabu said although the event had been recognised at the Olympic Games and other international tournaments, the organisers of the 20th SUKMA had taken the stand that they would only list it if 6 or more states participated.
They're asking for 6 ke? 6, at least 6 negeri menghantar tim baru akan diadakan satu pertandingan. I believe that we are, as much as we can, we are preparing lah. Kita buat persiapan yang agak final stages of it. Tinggal 85 hari lagi. So that is a short time to me lah.
He spoke to reporters after officiating the pre-launch ceremony of the 2022 Sarawak Rakan Muda Comfort Room program on Thursday. At the same time, he said the Sarawak contingent was also waiting for the organisers to finalise the sports events and locations before making a more thorough preparations ahead of the Games.
Kita telah bersyarat dengan MSN, Majlis Sukan Negeri Sarawak dan juga daripada Sarawak Sports Corporation, dan kita sebenarnya banyak belum ada penentuan. Number one is venue. Banyak yang belum ditentukan. So I think it is a bit difficult for us also to have a proper strategic planning. Tapi daripada 22 ke 23 sukan yang akan dipertandingkan, kita invest in terms of preparation. We're going through with the association apakah target, kerana banyak sukan macam as I mentioned that day, macam angkat berat hanya ada sekarang tinggal 5 saja. So the rest of it tak kategori dia.
The Malaysian Games, or SUKMA, had been postponed for the past 2 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and this 20th edition, which will finally be held from September 16th to 24th this year, is being hosted by Kuala Lumpur.
Sarawak is looking forward to the application of new findings by the Malaysian Agriculture Research and Development Institute, MARDI, to produce fertilizer. The Modernisation of Agriculture and Regional Development Minister, Datuk Sri Dr. Stephen Rundi Utom, said MARDI has developed an innovation of intrahumic acid, NHA, which is a liquid fertilizer formulation, and coal-based soil conditioner.
He explained that the kind of coal suitable for fertilizer can be found in Muka, adding that if the technology is developed seriously, it could have a huge impact in Sarawak, especially for farmers. Dr. Rundi said the government would try to get the State Farmers Organisation involved. However, he noted that the actual production of coal-based fertilizer would require at least a year or 2. In this regard, he said his ministry is trying to move as fast as possible to produce it from coal and biomass within the next few years. When asked on whether a fertilizer factory may be set up in Muka, Rundi said it is quite likely.
Coming up right after the break, new ceiling chicken price soon and expired driving licenses must be renewed before June 30th. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Welcome back. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob on Friday announced that the government has decided not to float the price for chicken, with a new ceiling price to be announced soon. Road Transport Department JPJ Director General Datuk Zalaini Hashim said the deadline involves those with learner's driving license LDL, provisional driving license PDL, competent driving license CDL and vocational driving license GDL through the exemption under Rule 19 of the Motor Vehicles Rules Driver License 1992. He said the extension was granted following the implementation of the first phase of the Movement Control Order 3.0 from June 1st, 2021, adding that the announcement of the exemption was made by Transport Minister Datuk Seri Wee Ka Seong on October 14, 2021. He urged LLM holders to renew their license immediately before the June 30th deadline to avoid having to retake the driving tests as stipulated under the Road Transport Act 1987, Act 333, and Motor Vehicle Rules Driver License 1992. According to JPJ database, as of June 22nd, the number of LDL holders who have yet to renew their licenses is 904,081, followed by PDL 14,216, 197 and 30 CDL, and 89,809 for GDL license. Vehicle owners holding the Malaysian driving licenses LMM who have been given an extension of validity period and whose license has expired beginning January 13, 2021 must renew their license before June 30th so that they do not have to retake their driving tests. Road Transport Department JPJ Director General Datuk Zalaini Hashim said the deadline involves those with learner's driving license LDL, provisional driving license PDL, competent driving license CDL, and vocational driving license GDL through the exemption under Rule 19 of the Motor Vehicles Rules Driver License 1992. He said the extension was granted following the implementation of the first phase of the Movement Control Order 3.0 from June 1st, 2021, adding that the announcement of the exemption was made by Transport Minister Datuk Sri Wee Ka Seong on October 14, 2021. He urged LLM holders to renew their license immediately before the June 30th deadline to avoid having to retake the driving tests as stipulated under the Road Transport Act 1987, Act 333, and Motor Vehicle Rules Driver License 1992. According to JPJ database, as of June 22nd, the number of LDL holders who have yet to renew their licenses is 904,081, followed by PDL 14,216, 197 and 30 CDL, and 89,809 for GDL license. Now on to some global affairs. Afghanistan lacks the medical supplies to treat those injured in an earthquake that killed more than 1,000 people this week, a senior official said, as an aftershock on Friday killed 5 more. Authorities earlier ended a search in remote southeastern mountains for survivors of the 6.1 magnitude earthquake that struck early on Wednesday near the Pakistani border, about 160 kilometers, 100 miles southeast of Kabul, the capital. Friday's aftershock in almost exactly the same place was of magnitude 4.3. The U.S. Geological Survey said. A health ministry official said it killed 5 people, but there was no immediate word on the extent of new damage and injuries. About 2,000 people were injured and 10,000 homes partially or entirely destroyed in Wednesday's earthquake. Muhammad Nasim Haqqani, a spokesperson for the disaster ministry, told the press. The epicenter of the earthquake was in a region of arid mountains dotted with small settlements that was often the scene of clashes during Afghanistan's decades of war. Poor communications and only very basic roads have hampered relief efforts in a country grappling with a humanitarian crisis that deteriorated sharply after the Taliban took over last August as US-led international forces withdrew. European leaders on Thursday, June 23rd, granted Ukraine the much-coveted status of official candidate to join the 27-nation union in a bold geopolitical move held by Ukraine and the EU itself as a historic decision. Although it could take Ukraine more than a decade to eventually join the European Union, the decision to officially accept it as a candidate is a symbolic step that signals the bloc's intention to reach deep into the former Soviet Union.
We have decided to grant candidate status to Ukraine and Moldova, and we are ready to grant candidate status to Georgia once priorities will be addressed.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine prompted Kiev to formally apply for candidate status and the EU to approve it unusually quickly. Neighboring Moldova was also granted candidate status, while Georgia was told it would get the same once it has fulfilled certain conditions. The bloc's leaders stressed these countries will have much homework to do, and the EU itself will need to change how it works to be able to cope with yet another extension of the club.
Of course, the countries all have to do homework before moving to the next stage of the accession process. But I am convinced that they will all move as swiftly as possible and work as hard as possible to implement the necessary reforms. Not just because they are required to move ahead in the European accession path, but first and foremost because these reforms are good for the countries, good for the democracy, because it strengthens the competitiveness of all three countries, and ultimately they are good for the citizens.
Behind the triumphant rhetoric on granting Ukraine and Moldova candidate status, there is a concern within the EU about how the bloc can remain coherent as it continues to enlarge.
Preaching is a call that demands Muslims to convey the message of Islam through the implementation of welfare. Join Ustazah Asma Harun, the patron of non-governmental organisation NGOs Sahabat Amal Care, on Sejahtera Asia tomorrow with hosts Wan Alif and Juzaklan, 7:30 a.m. on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. Just a click away by heading on to our official website at www.TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Lorenzo Isaac. Good night.